I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Carrie Martinez, and I'm in the Aurora Trails Ward. And I'm so happy to be here today and tell you about my experience with a legal notebook. This is not legal advice, but this is just my experience on how our family has done a legal notebook for probably 34, 35 years. I have been married to my husband, Lee, for 36 years at the end of the month. And when we got married, he was in the Army. And he had gone to military school in college. And then he went on his mission, and that counted for time and grade. So then when he came back from his mission, and we got married, he did the once a month where he went and did the National Guard thing. And then we decided to go active duty 2 years into our marriage, and we actually got to go to Germany. Before he went to Germany, he went to officer basic course, and I went to a meeting, and they handed me a sheet that said, this is for a legal notebook, and these are the things that you should put in it in case your husband is deployed or something happens to him. So that's how I got started doing this early on in my marriage. And so what I'd like to tell you today is just my experiences, the little things I started out with and the things I've learned over the years, what has worked for me. We have lived in 13 different places since we've been married, 6 different states, 1 foreign country. We have been the parents to 27 kids. We have 4 biological, 1 adopted, and we fostered 23 foster kids over our marriage. So I've had a lot of experience with a lot of people in my life dealing with their legal stuff. So that's one of the things I'm gonna do today. This is for everybody. It's not for older people or whatever. This is a thing that you can start with when you graduate from high school. So I'm just gonna show you a little bit of some of the different ways that I have stored my stuff and how it started out and what I recommend today. And I do have handouts for everybody so that will help you. I actually just started with just a little simple notebook. Literally, the page I was given was just like this that said legal notebook. And on the other side, it had a list of 10 items that I needed. Birth certificate, Social Security, that. Since then, my list has grown a lot and is more detailed. But this is actually a great time of year to start because the back to school is going to come out in all the stores in probably another month or 2. This is a great time to start out simple. You can go as simple or as extravagant as you want. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the different things. And different ways that will be good for your family and for you and for what you're doing. I'm going to start out, because I said it's good for like if you graduate. I'm going to talk simple and to that. Now, people starting out in life, they don't own a house, most likely. They may have a car, so they have a car. So they probably only need, if you're going to do a little file thing, you probably only need like 5. You need a legal category, vehicle maybe, medical, school maybe, just, some basic things. And so I recommend either a notebook, a notebook like this with some page protectors. And I also recommend like one of these pencil things. And I'll go over those a little bit more too. But this little thing is actually really great for someone just starting out. One of the reasons I really like this is because you can put your categories. It has a place for categories. But one of the best things is it has a zipper. So you don't lose things. If they're going off to college, if they're newly married, if they're starting out in life, this is enough for someone like that. And then they can just put in what they need. Now, when my kids were younger, I've done it several different ways because I had a lot of kids at a time. And then I also had my biological kids. Now this is actually, I'm going to start with this one. Some of these are real live ones, so you'll get to see them in action. This is my daughter's. This is an old one because she's married now and we've graduated her. But this is something like what when my kids were living at home. This is like an actual thing, and these were actually really good. These plastic ones because they're really protective. If things get wet, you want to protect them. The newer ones, they do have a protective coat on them, but they're fabric. But this still is a pretty good. This is what I use now. This is what I can find. But back in the day, this was what we used. And as you can see, I still have her shot records. And like back in elementary school, they used to do those identity little things. So these are leftover lingering things. I like to have like a trading card thing so that doctor's appointments and stuff. I had a lot of kids going to different doctor's appointments and stuff, and all of my kids actually had their wisdom teeth taken out by different doctors and stuff. But I've kept all their things, so if they say, "Mom, what doctor did I go to? Mom, what did I?" I'm like, I don't know. Go look in your binder, and it's helped me remember some of the places I've taken them or things to remember. As you can see, the ones that I did for her were legal, financial, church, school, and medical. This was like elementary school age up into high school. This is sufficient for, and like I said, this is a live one. So in the church section, you can go to your clerk and have them print out your membership thing. I keep a copy of their patriarchal blessings in here. Anything to do with church. This was a family one. This was a little bit later. It's got the zip thing. But, I mean, this is really old school. This has, like, primary, back when you used to get a certificate for graduating from primary, baptismal certificates, still from my kids. This is my son's. It has all his priesthood things in it. So this is also a great way to help store some of those things. Nowadays, we don't really have all of that paperwork. But if you have things like that, this was a great way. While I have this book open, I'm going to show you. This was our family one for a good amount of time, and it actually has two rings. So my husband and I were in here too. I have since removed all of our stuff. We have our own binder. We've graduated to our own binder. But I still have, my kids are adults, but I still have lingering stuff from when they were kids. So I would put it in order of age. That's just how I chose to do it. So my husband, then me, and then our kids, I put half on one side and half on the other. It is kind of messy. You know how binders can kind of, folding them back and forth get messy. But I found that worked really great when people don't have a lot of information. This is great for families, people starting out, to combine them all. Or as I started getting foster kids and having more people, then I had it in this kind of system where it was easier for me to have this on the shelf, and then each person had their own binder. Sometimes some of the kids only had this size, depending on how long they lived with me or how much stuff I had. They started out, and then I would just take a marker and write their name on the side so that when I needed to go to the doctor or needed to take some of their paperwork with me, it was easier just to have a thinner little thing with me and then see. These are doctor's appointments and stuff, different things. Also, this is a great place. Like this daughter had to do first aid CPR. You can see how little things. I've even in one or two of the books, I've put social security cards in there. I do like this for things like your passport, old licenses, Social Security thing because it has a zipper and it's more secure, and then you just put it in your binder. I'm going to, and then things like that, your licenses, passports, stuff like that, it's a really good idea. I make copies of everything and then keep them in the binder too, because sometimes you go for a job interview or whatever and they need just a copy of their Social Security or whatever, and sometimes they're like my husband and he takes his Social Security and then never brings it back. But at least I have a copy of it so that if he ever needs, you know what I mean, he eventually had to get a new one, but it's good to have a copy. Another story about that, when my son was on his mission, he went to the Philippines, and it was nearing the end of his mission, and he was going to go do summer cells like a week or two after he got home. And he lost his wallet, or it got stolen. He didn't have his license. So because I had a copy of his license in my book, and we had moved while he was there, I was able to go on the computer and do a change of address for his license, and it came so that when he came home from his mission, he had his license. So that was one benefit of me having a copy of his thing. Another story with my son and the Philippines. The Philippines is not bad when you go to, but my daughter-in-law is actually Filipino, and when their son was a year old, they went and visited her family in the Philippines, and they had their bag with all of their money and documents stolen. And I had a copy of their passports and their things, and the people that stole it, luckily, threw their passports away outside the house in the garbage, so they were actually able to. But at the time, we were coordinating me trying to help them get their passports so they could come home. But that is a great idea if you're traveling out of the country, to always have a copy of your passport somewhere. Now, I know a lot of people like to have their documents and stuff on their phone, but a great reason to have it on paper form is, if electricity goes down, something happens with the phone is stolen. Their phones were actually stolen on that trip. They didn't have their phones. So it is a good idea to have things copied and put somewhere also. Another reason to have a legal notebook is, and to have it in a condensed way, is, in the last couple years, we've had a lot of floods and a lot of fires and a lot of things in other places. In some of the places, people were given time to evacuate. If you have your stuff in a central location and everything organized together, it's easy to grab. And that's actually one of the reasons why I have gone to this. This is what mine today looks like. I like the binders like this for a couple reasons. They zip and they have a handle. And they're big. This is pretty big. Like I said, my husband and I, we are each in one binder. And these are really great because I'm going to use this one as an example. They're really great. If you had 10, 15 minutes to evacuate your house, if you have all of your stuff organized in a way to carry it. Now there are other ways these are other examples of ways to store it in your house. But the reason I have chosen to do this, I can hide the handle. I don't have the handle out most of the time. But if I had to flee my house in a quick, if we had forest fire, or it was flooding or whatever, if I only had 10, 15 minutes to grab all my stuff, I don't have to think too hard about where all my legal stuff is. I can strap this on and I can grab other things. And I know that I have copies and the originals of all my stuff in here. And that is the reason why I have gone to this system now. Yeah.
Does that fit inside of like a metal file cabinet?
It doesn't. And actually, that's a good point. At one point, I was using, this is old, but you can buy them at Walmart for $73. These will store like individual papers and stuff. And if you don't have a lot of books, they'll store that.
Well,
They
have all of my
don't.
documents in a file, in a metal file cabinet. But yeah, that would be a little bit more cumbersome to have to.
It is. That's the point. And
So if I transferred stuff into there, but still kept it in the file cabinet, I was wondering if it's file. Where do you keep that?
I have a closet in my house, and I store it on a shelf, and I just know that that's yeah. Yeah, I don't know. You would have to see. But there's a lot of different kinds. You can get these at Target and Walmart. They're $23.74 at Walmart. This one I got actually at Staples, and it was more like $29, and they had a couple different colors, but it's the same size. It's the same thing. You want to make sure that it has a. You want to make sure that it has this. This is what you're looking for, and I usually just tuck it in there. I don't really use this a whole lot, but I do sometimes put this in here because this gets folded up and in the way. It just does. So you have to just figure out your own thing. Let me go over some of the the checklist.
You have that on your flyer you're giving?
Yes. So yes, I have about 10 pages to give you guys to get you started. Now, I have been doing this for a lot of years, and I'm currently helping my parents. My parents are 85. They live in Utah, and my sister and I are their executors, and for a couple years we have been helping them try to get their stuff together. And so every time I go to Utah, I give my dad homework assignments to get it up to date because it's overwhelming. The thing is, he's starting to forget things. And so that's why it's important for us to get it. Yes, absolutely. Exactly. But that's why I say this is for everybody. You need to go home and start your kids. You're going to say, guess what? We're starting a legal notebook club, and we're all going to work on it, and you can have accountability partners. But it's hard to say to your parents, I want to know all your accounts and all your passwords, and I want to know everything about you. So it takes a little bit of time to get people on board. Even my adult children, they've been living with this all their life. My son and daughter-in-law, because it's my daughter-in-law, I've given her all this stuff, but I don't know where they're at with it. And the thing is, they go out of the country, and I watch their kids sometimes. And so I'm like, I need to know what's going on. You know what I mean? So I've given it to them, and I've talked to them about it, but I haven't actually gone over there, and I'm not that kind of mother-in-law. But I'm that kind of mother, though. But basically, I'm going to just read off. Like I said, you guys will all be going home with one of these. And again, some of these things you may not think you need, or at different times in your life, people need more things. But this is just to get you thinking. These are your own. You can do them how you want. But this is just an idea of getting everybody started. So crucial information, and one of the pages that you'll have is where your name, your birthday, your basic things about you. And throughout all of this, you're giving up your passwords and all your stuff. Also, keys to your house is one of the things. So if you have extra keys to your houses or your cars, your boats, your whatever, if you have any extra, this is a great place to keep extra keys. Then on your paper, wherever you're talking about it, there's residency one, you know, on that paper you need to put, I have 3 keys, our mailbox is located at the end of the street here. I mean, you want to prepare it so that anybody that has to step in for you, whether it's your kids, your sisters, whoever is going to help if you have a disability or a death or whatever, it needs to be elementary school. You need to have details. So that's what part of this is about. You're writing details about everything, so that it could help you even. Like, I feel like sometimes I can't remember, what did we do? When did we get our heater fixed? When did we?
Can I just share a little testimony?
Yes.
I've done this system for years. We've had to evacuate out of homes at a moment's notice for a fire, and as they get the blue binders, they know what it is, where it is, and how to do it. I go to the doctor's office, and I forget the damn shot records all the time. And I'm calling, like, send me so-and-so shot records. I love this. Physical, for sure. Everything on a USB drive, and upload as much as you feel comfortable on family search also. I'm banking on church systems not failing, and everything else. So that's a recommendation.
Thank you. All right, so there's keys. In ours, I just keep all of our legal stuff, like birth certificates and stuff, in the front. And again, like, if this is my husband and I put his stuff first and then mine. The car he drives first and then mine. It's just easy. That's just how I choose to do it. When it was our family one, they were all separated. I didn't even have a lot of these in here separated with this. When it came to a new one of these, I knew it was the next person's stuff. So you don't need to actually have tabs either. Just get them in a place. So primary residence, if you own more than one house, if you have a cabin, if you have a trailer, all of that, then you do your main house, and then you immediately do your second thing. You keep both of them in there. Same with cars. If you own 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you do information for each one. Bank accounts. Oh, with vehicles, it has a section for you to help write down stuff. And then this is what I was talking about. I actually just used mine a week ago. I went out to go in my car and my battery was dead. And I'm like, I swear I just got a new battery last year. So I went and looked to see when was the last time and where I got it from, and was it under warranty. So I like to record every time, even if I get an oil change or whatever, I like to keep a record of it. This all takes time. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. There is a section for your legal stuff if you want to do your passports and stuff in there. I like mine at the front because we tend to use that one a lot more. You use your birth certificate, your social security, that kind of stuff. I like to keep that at the front, but there is a section for that. Your bank accounts, there is a section for you to just list and what kind of account it is. If Another way to do it simply, and I do this for utilities, back in the house section, if I get a statement in the mail, then once a year I just put a new statement in there and make sure it has the account number. I also put, like, if I've made an online account, whose email it's under, what my password is to my online account, every little thing. And for the accounts that I don't get statements for, you can sometimes, like Southwest Gas, I don't get a monthly statement, but I've gone on to their account and I've printed out that thing, and then just on a sticky note, I wrote my account number, which email it's under, just so that I have it in the book. You could take a plain piece of paper and just make a list of all of your utilities on it, but make sure what's the little name, how if you forget your password, there's sometimes questions. Like, you need to write all the details on there. Now, a funny little story. I also have a book at home that I keep all my passwords in, like this, for all my accounts and all the things, like, I don't know, Pinterest, any little thing that you have to make an account for. I write every little thing down in here. And my daughter was dating somebody, and they wanted to order something at Sam's Club. And I'm like, I can't remember the password. And he said, well, isn't it in your little password book? And I went, what? I got a new book and changed it. And then I started thinking, yeah, first of all, why are they going through my password? Why does he know about it? Luckily, he's now my son-in-law. But, you could make a list of stuff and just put it in an envelope sealed and just say, do not open until, if there's passwords that you just don't want out there, you just at least put it in here, but you can, and then you can check on it every once in a while, and if it's opened, then somebody's gotten into it. But if they won't know what's in here. Your kids won't know what's in here unless you tell them. You know what I mean? So there's ways, but you need to have it written somewhere so that somebody knows. The other thing is designate somebody. Tell somebody. My daughter, who lives in Chicago, every time she comes home, she's in finance. And I'm like, okay, if Dad and I die, all of our stuff is right here. And this is where everything is. And she grew up with a legal notebook. So, of course, and I say, all my stuff's in the legal notebook, so she knows. But, and then my son, I actually still have a daughter that lives at home. And so there is a section, this may not pertain to some of you, but in one of the papers I gave you, it's for dependents. This is not illegal, but it would give you an idea if something were to happen to you, if you do not have something legal in place, it gives you a place to write what you want to happen with those children. Same with, everyone really at this day and age really should have a trust. Again, I'm not legal. I'm just giving you some advice. Really, you need to have a trust at this point. With money, but I can't think of what it's called. No, a funded trust with all of your bank accounts and houses and stuff in there. That is really something that everyone really should have. And there is a section for that. There is a section for, again, we talked about the church, family and friends. Put pictures in there, a few pictures of your family in there. You know what I mean? If all you could grab was your book and you needed to help identify somebody or just to look at, put a picture in there. Those are easy. There is a section. I need to turn this back. So investments, there's a section for investments, income, debt, insurance. Again, with the medical and insurance, there's different, you've got your home, your vehicle, all the different, you can either put them all, the information, all in that. In my binder, like I think I put the vehicle one in with the vehicle section, that, but make sure you have all of the different kind of life insurance, any kind of things like that. It has a section for education. This is great for like people who are graduating and stuff. Copy their certificate. Sometimes when you go to get a job, they want proof of your graduation, and you have to, end up talking to the school and having them send your transcripts. But that's a good place just to make a copy of school stuff. And I bought them separately. And they're $6.44 at Walmart. It takes two. It takes two of these, of the 8. I like these the best. I mean, you can do any that you want. I recommend sheet protectors. They're $10.68. The trading cards, I can't remember, but it's less than $10. It's probably $7 or $8. The pencil pouches are $1.88. This is the time of the year that all of these are going to be out and on sale. This is the time to get these. Do you want? Yeah. All right. She's going to start handing out the handouts. Yeah. Did you have a comment? Yes, there is a section, I think, for pets. Yes, if you have pets, you're going to want to put the information about your pets.
What about for older people who maybe need to keep track of their health care?
Yeah, there's a section in there for medical.
Because I think sometimes it's nice if they have their, if they were ever admitted to the hospital, to have their discharge paperwork or their most recent lab work done, but then also advanced directives. Like
Yes.
living will,
Yes, there is a section for, yep,
and everybody needs to have that, not just older people.
right. So that's why I'm saying this really is from start to finish for the whole family. And as you get older, unfortunately, your binders get bigger. And on these, there is suggestion of those. So, yeah, any other comments or questions? Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Holly.
So if you want to have something digital, Genius Scan works really well for like the things you have to have. Like I'll scan records for that so that I can email it to my kids and they're like, I need my
Genius Scan.
Genius Scan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for. Okay. No, I did not make this up myself. Over the years I have started with my simple list, and when I have come across other things, there's actually a company called Knockbox, and I got a lot of, yes, I got some of the information from them. So, I just want to leave you with a scripture, Doctrine and Covenants 38:30. If ye are prepared, ye shall not fear. And I really believe that as we prepare ourselves, as we've been talking about all day today with all the different things in life, this is just another way to benefit us. I have really been benefited through my whole life, married life, of using this, and it's really been helpful to me, and I really feel like you will be blessed too. And so I appreciate you guys all coming today, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
I'm going to do it.